name is Larry Ligocki. I live in Sheridan, Wyoming. I've lived here most of my life. I have a wife and 3 daughters, and I enjoy working with my kids and my wife. And I also took on a new profession about 3 years ago, teaching school, in addition to my ag background. When I got out of college for the first time with my undergraduate degree, I started an operation of my own with my dad in partnership. And we've been doing that for a little over 20 years. Our operation consists of some private ground, which my dad owns, which was my grandparents. So we have some pasture out east of Sheridan that we run on in the summer. And so that's deeded private ground. But we also lease pasture, and that we have a ranch here on Ash Creek that we lease. I originally leased it from Ann Randall, who her family homesteaded it, many years ago. I've been leasing it now since the mid-90s, probably, or late 90s, I guess. So probably 12, maybe 15 years now I've been on this place here. And then we also lease pasture in the summer for other individuals just to graze our cattle throughout the summer. And so all told, it's probably anywhere from some years 2,000 acres to, if we have another pasture lease come up, we've had up to almost 7,000 to 8,000 acres, depending on the number of cows we have and how much we've leased. But ours consists of a lease and some deeded ground. I think you try to make it an occupation. You try to make money at it. And right now, with the cattle market the way it is, we are making money at it. But it's as I mentioned before, it's a very capital-intensive business. That is, it takes so much money to operate and to lease ground or buy machinery. But when things are paid off and you're not in debt, we're making money right now. Now, it takes quite a few cattle to support, more than one family, and even support a family the way we want to live. We could live very modestly and maybe get by with 200, 300, 400 head. But that's part of the reason I work a job in town, so I have more cash flow, and that's consistent cash flow. And so I look at it as, not just an occupation, but maybe a hobby that actually pays. Most people have hobbies, and most of those hobbies don't give them a very good check. And I think this hobby gives me a pretty good check, and yet I could not. Our operation as it stands now, I could not solely do that and make a living. I guess I would add that too. It is a lifestyle. It is. I do like agriculture. I truly like producing. I like, farming up a field and looking back at it when you have a crop growing that's a very nice crop. I like the production. I love the genetic aspect of raising cattle. You try to improve your cattle. You try to get cattle that are trouble-free. And I think over the last 20 years, we've certainly done that, certainly improved our herd. And to me, that's fun. It's a challenge. And when you go and buy new genetics, it's fun to see their offspring and see how they grow up and see if they become what you hope they become. And the lifestyle is great. I love raising the kids around it. I think it's good. I think about 1% of our population in this country are involved in production agriculture, and that's certainly changed from 100 years ago. But that's how efficient we've become. 1% of the people can produce agricultural products and feed our country and part of the rest of the world. And so the lifestyle is a good one, which entails a lot of work too, I guess. Oh, calving season. Well, I've done calving season a couple different ways. Calving season is a very busy time for a rancher. Most of the time. It used to be a lot busier when I did it the previous way, which I would not go back to, and that was calving in February. We used to start about February 5th, with the idea that you'd probably get a little heavier calves because we sell calves by the pound in the fall. And I'm not sure that's always the case, but it certainly adds a lot of labor to the process. When you are calving in temperatures that are sometimes 10 below zero or 20 below zero, and you have to bring everything into the barn just to keep them going and keep ears on the little babies, that's very labor intensive. And And I backed them up more like Mother Nature. We calve in the mid-March now. And if I were to go either direction, I would probably back them up even further to April, especially when you're busy with other jobs. You know, I'm working another job. And so just let Mother Nature take care of it, and the cows take care of it. We try to pull very few of them, and when we have cows that have problems like that, we usually get rid of them. But I think this year it's usually our first calf heifers, and those are the only ones we've had to pull this year. I think we pulled about 3 of them. That's out of about 18 first calf heifers. That'd be 2-year-old heifers that are having their first baby. And sometimes they're just a little bit smaller. They're not fully grown yet, and so it's a little bit harder on them. But the cows, mature cows, we pull very few of them. Usually if a calf is backwards or something like that, we'll assist the cow, but that's rare. Normally you will come out and, you know, let's say a cow's calving when I show up, and I don't know how long she's been in labor. I'll usually just look at her, and if she still looks fresh, and what I mean by fresh is if she's walking around, sniffing the ground, getting down, getting up, pushing a little bit, but she still looks pretty vibrant, I think she's okay, and we let her go. What normally happens if she starts having a problem, it'll start to tire her out. So a problem being the head of the calf is back. Normally the 2 front legs and the head come together. Or if one leg's back, she's not going to be able to push it through the birth canal. So she'll sit there having contractions, pushing, and after a while it wears her out if she's struggling. And so, you know, if she's tired, not getting up, getting down, looks played out, we will go and see what's the matter with it and give her some assistance. And the other quick way of knowing too is just looking at if both front feet are coming. That's an indication that everything looks normal, and we kind of let them have some time before we go in and help them out.
You'll see her sides come up when she starts feeling contractions. You want to make sure you don't get her pinched in there, you know, so it's just on the hoof, or it's just on the leg. See how she's pushing now? She's got a contraction going. There you go. See, there's a tongue right there. It's moving. So he's alive. He's alive and well. Now he pulled on me. He's like, let go of my leg. He's like, what's going on here? Ooh, there he pulls again. He said, it's warmer in here. Let me go. Now see, I want to get it up here so it's not on the hock. I want to pull a little higher on the leg. You give it a good push, Mom. We just get past the head, it'll come out, I think. I kind of wait for the contraction.
Yep.
There we go. Keep pushing. Give me one more, Mom. Give me a good one. He's good. He's good. See how that stuff kind of comes out? Hey. Hold on to this, kid. You just hold on to my gloves here. Hold on. Just hold on to it.
It looks like an alien.
Okay, let me see it. Hold, grab it now. Now, let go of that. There we go. Just get past the hip bone.
Let go on his head.
There's
Ouch. Ouchie, ouch.
That's my baby.
I think the first thing you need to look at is cost. costs and money. You have to know what your costs are in this business and be very aware of that, because there's not huge margins. There's not a big profit margin in this business. You have to be able to sit down at the desk and figure your costs and be very honest with yourself. And that's your time, the equipment, the things you put into those things that you mentioned, the livestock, the land. You have to have discipline and really monitor your costs, because, as I said before, you're subject to the market. You can't ask a bigger price for your commodity. You can't ask more than what the market's giving, and so you pay attention to the economics of the operation first. One of our goals is to raise very aesthetically pleasing cattle that produce well, raise 600-pound calves in about 8 months. And we do that through not so much the inputs, because we just try to feed them grass and water and a little bit of salt to get that 600-pound calf. But we try, you set your goals. We want nice cattle, and that's what we try to produce. So we buy bulls and genetics that will help us attain that. At the same time, you can go out and spend a lot of money to try to get some of that, and it makes no sense if you can't stay in business because you've overspent and you can't pay your bills or your notes at the bank. A huge value in a place. If you were to go out and shop for a ranch or ag ground or any place, if you have water on it and the ability to use water, that place is much more valuable than it would be otherwise. I would like to have pasture ground as well, that you don't have to irrigate, but you have to have water somewhere. Now, production, I mean, producing irrigated hay ground so you can get your cattle through the winter, we really like to have that. Now, in some years when you have a very wet spring, a very good summer, as far as moisture content, it's not that critical, and you could probably get away without doing a lot of irrigating. And we've seen it in the past years when we've had some droughts and the hay's been short. If you were able to irrigate your pasture, not only is it valuable to have the hay sitting in the hay yard when you're ready to start feeding in November or December, but you can also sell the hay and make quite a bit of money because there's short supply of it, and a lot of people don't have the water to irrigate with. We vaccinate every year for brucellosis, and we call it Bangs vaccination. And we do that once in a lifetime for our replacement females. So the females that we keep to go back into the herd, we Bangs vaccinate them, and that it guards against brucellosis, which is a disease that will cause your cows to abort. And you can see it. You've seen it in elk in Yellowstone and other animals that they can't vaccinate, and it's something that spreads, pretty quickly. If not managed. And so every year we Bangs vaccinate, and those are rules. If you don't do that, the state of Wyoming will not, or other states will not accept your cattle into their state. And so they have to have a shield in their ear, and they'll have a little tattoo in their ear as well. A shield meaning a little clip on their ear that shows that they've been Bangs vaccinated, and there will be a tattoo inside the ear. And that's easy to check to see if they've actually gone through that process. Because like I said before, if you don't do that, if you try to save a few dollars here and there on vaccinations, it could come back to get you in the long run, because diseases are very prevalent. And cattle roam, and you're up next against different neighbors and big ranches sometimes that whose cattle have come across diseases like that. You need to protect yourself. Our calves every year, and I know some parts of the country don't brand. If you get into South Dakota and go, oh gosh, east of halfway through South Dakota, if you go to the east, they don't even brand cattle there. We do it out here partly because I think it started way back before there were even fences and people ran on common ground on big tracts of land, and you needed to identify your livestock. You don't hear a lot about it anymore, but it still exists. And if you look at the statistics, and I'm not going to try to reiterate them because I haven't looked at them for a while, but there is still some cattle rustling that goes on. So we identify our cattle with a brand every single year, and that way it just makes it easy when we go to the sale barn with them or we sell them to a buyer at the end of the year. Look at the brand, that identifies them as ours. And if they get mixed up with a neighbor's cattle or something, it's very easy to go in there and identify our cattle and separate them from theirs and bring them back home. But it's a lot of work. You need a pretty good crew to do it. With 100 head, when we rope them kind of the old style, way, we rope them and drag them out, and we have wrestlers on the ground. And that's a very efficient way to brand. You can get through lots of cattle in a quick time. It is a little stressful on the cattle, on the calves. Can be stressful on your wrestlers as well and the crew. But those calves heal up pretty quick. In a couple days, they're out, and you wouldn't even know they were branded. They're pretty tough animals. Some people do not like the idea, but it's kind of what we do to identify the cattle, and it makes it easy and saves headaches down the road when they're all identified, especially when you're in big open country and cattle get mixed up. We not only brand them, but that's a time when we vaccinate the calves against some of those, diseases that they get. We vaccinate them for 7 or 8 things, and it's all a mixture into that little vial. We call it 7-way blackleg. The 7-way is 7 different diseases that can really hit your herd hard if you get exposed to it. It's just good animal husbandry to process cattle once in a while and treat them, identify them, and in the long run they look pretty good and live a pretty good life. That little bit of stress they have on that one day of branding for a couple hours allows them to go out and live pretty worry-free for at least the next 8 months as they're just turned out to eat grass and grow. I enjoy other people's brandings much more than I enjoy my own because I guess I'm responsible for my own. And I don't want people getting hurt, and I want to make sure the work gets done. But when you go to somebody else's branding, it's a time for the people that have horses to work on their skills at roping, which is kind of a fun thing to do. People just kind of enjoy the cowboy aspect of it. It's a great social event as well, at least at our brandings where there's only about 100 or 120 head. We usually have plenty of crew and nobody gets too wore out. It's a great time to visit and get together on a Saturday or Sunday.